Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, with another commentary track for you. Yeah, I know, two of these things back to back. You're probably wondering, when am I gonna get my fucking review of Dream Warriors, Dr. Wolfula? Well, don't worry. Good things come to those who wait, and especially to those who stay quiet. And I couldn't possibly record another review at the moment because I'm currently in a hotel room in Mexico. At least I think it's Mexico. It's somewhere in Mexico. I can tell because there's a whole bunch of desert out there. And look, there's a burro. A burro. I don't know how you pronounce it. The tour guide said that you call them burros. I'm here in Mexico right now because, well, I'm recording. Well, I want to keep this on the down low. I don't want to. Okay, I'll just spill it right away. I'm so excited. I'm recording a commercial. A commercial for what? A vacuum cleaner. Yeah, I know. I hit the big time, baby. This ad agency said they wanted me, Dr. Wolfula, to appear in their commercial. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. Oh man. And I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to be immortalized in a vacuum cleaner commercial shown in Mexico. Oh man. But whatever. I'm just passing the time right now. It's late at night. Decided to watch a movie. And why not record a little bit of content for you? Or how about commentary? Okay, no, that doesn't work. Whatever. A commentary track for Friday the 13th. A, horror movie that's, a pretty big deal. But not as much of a big deal as a vacuum cleaner commercial. Anyway, we gotta sync this up. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna count down from 3 to 1, and then I'm gonna say go. And when I say go, you press that play button. And just so you know, we gotta sync this up right. You should just see a black screen before the Paramount logo shows up. Long before it, just a black screen. And then I'm gonna count down from 3 to 1, and I'm gonna say go. And then you press play. All right, baby. Well. Okay, well, I want to make sure my headphone fucking cord isn't gonna... I'm gonna move that microphone a bit. Okay, gonna count down from 3 to 1, and then say go. Alright, 3... Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! Alright. There you go, Paramount logo. I think, the Indiana Jones movies had a lot of fun with this logo, but... That's the only example I can think of where the Paramount logo was done differently. Because, pretty much every Warner Brothers movie, different logos. Paramount, not so much. Universal, not so much. Warner, though, they do some different logos. Different variants. What a great commentary so far. This is Friday the 13th isn't necessarily a classic film in the traditional sense. It's not an amazing movie. It's not a super great horror movie, but it is entertaining. It has its merits, and the most important thing about it is it launched a franchise that was a huge influence, and an influence to the point where, pretty much nearly every slasher movie took from this movie. And the creators of this movie admitted that they were taking from Halloween. So, yeah, the backstory for Friday the 13th is pretty fucking interesting because, honestly, it was just made by Sean S. Cunningham, Victor's son. I don't remember the writer's name. I want to say Victor Miller, but isn't that George Miller was the guy who did Mad Max. Yeah, I think it's Victor Miller. Oh, whatever. It was someone named Victor who wrote this. Sean S. Cunningham his fucking, whoever he was working with, they had a title, and they made a poster, put it in Variety magazine, Friday the 13th, the scariest movie. It said something like that, but they didn't know what the movie was about. They just put that out there because it's a cool title, and horror movies were getting big, so just whatever distributor could fucking come forward and give them the money to make a movie. That was pretty much it. They just said, Friday the 13th, we don't know what it is. Give us your money. I mean, they didn't admit that they didn't know what it was, but they didn't know what it was, and they basically just tricked some people into giving them some money, but they ended up making a good film out of that. You know, it's a good movie. It's not an amazing story. The acting isn't the best, though there is a certain famous actor who appeared in this movie. I don't know if it was his first appearance, but, you know, we'll get to that eventually. Right? Actually, something I like about this, about Friday the 13th, more than Halloween, is the fact that, Halloween, it starts with the credits, and then you just have nonstop going from the murder of Judith Myers, and then go to 15 years later. In Friday the 13th, they have a fucking cold opening where they just get you straight into the backstory of the movie, and then they do the credits. I like that a lot better. That's something I feel like they should have did in Halloween, and also in the sequel to Halloween, also in Halloween 2, I mean, and in a lot of fucking other movies. But, you know, they didn't do that, but Friday the 13th does it. I think this might be the... Let me think. No, Friday the 13th Part 2 also had a cold opening. I don't think... whatever. It doesn't matter which Friday the 13th movies had cold openings. Oh my god. I'm gonna get some water. These are the first two victims in the whole Friday the 13th series. Kind of. It depends on what you think of as a victim. You could consider Jason as a victim of circumstance, but, you know, he didn't die. Well, some people like to say that he was always supernatural. And I'm talking about a character, if you're just listening to this commentary, you've never seen... Well, you should know who Jason Voorhees is. Whatever. The point is, you know, I get a lot of people who are just like, especially after my Jason Lives video, who are just like, Jason was always supernatural. That's how he came back to life. I gotta call bullshit on that, because, I don't know, it's just sort of lame if he's if he, like, came back to life from being drowned or something. You know, that's dumb, and it just messes with the... Something I hated about the later Friday the 13th movies, the later Jason movies, is that they sort of missed the whole point of Jason originally. He went from being this lumbering oaf who killed people for his mother, like, out of some misguided revenge, to just, like, to prevent a fucking camp from opening. And then, all of a sudden, Jason becomes, like, the monster of the week. He just kills tons of random people for no reason. You know, they stopped bothering connecting it to the original movie. You know, Pamela Voorhees was barely there, and I'm talking about a character we haven't even been introduced to in this movie yet. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about Friday the 13th 1, is that you don't know anything about... is that no Voorhees anything appears until the very end of the movie. But yeah, that, like I was saying, it's just disappointing how the Friday the 13th series lost its way after a while, where it's just... Jason is just a killer, and it's just whatever. Something I probably should have mentioned earlier is I really like the opening title thing with Friday the 13th coming through a window. That is super cool, and it's the only thing you get in this movie that it has something to do with Friday the 13th being unlucky. They say the movie takes place on Friday the 13th, but it doesn't really have anything to do with anything, being unlucky or whatever. There's no... Yeah, it's a pointless title. It's just there to have the Halloween connection where you have a... I mean, Friday the 13th isn't even a holiday, but it's a day that happens a few times a year, or one time a year, or a couple times a year. This year, it's a few times. And the whole reason I'm doing this commentary is because it's November 13th tomorrow. Not now, because, you know, I want to give myself some time, but yeah. Yeah, the Friday the 13th series, you know, if you examine the backstory as far as how the movies are made and what Paramount made the series into and just all that stuff, it's kind of it's kind of a fraud, sort of. I mean, it's not, I love this series, but, you know, it's sort of fraudulent as far as Halloween movies, they take place on Halloween and they show Halloween shit and stuff, and they try to tie it into the holiday or whatever. Friday the 13th is just give us a fucking title. I don't think the new Friday the 13th did anything with Friday the 13th. Do you think they realize that, yeah, we should probably sell the Friday the 13th date in this one, because that's something that hasn't been done. We just say it takes place on Friday the 13th. Whatever. It's just kind of dumb when you think about it. I have no idea where this movie takes place, where they filmed it. That's a great thing to mention in the commentary. If you listen to the Sean S. Cunningham commentary for this, he's the director. He's just talking about, like, I didn't think this movie would be good. I didn't think anyone would fucking care about it. I just wanted to make a movie to keep the lights on. And I think he just repeats that over and over again. I didn't think it'd be that big of a deal. Whatever. Not a super informative commentary, or maybe I'm just misremembering it. I don't know. Oh yeah, that guy, the guy with the broom, he recently passed away. He's been in a bunch of things. I can't remember his name, but I did a fucking memorial for him on my Facebook page. But I can't remember his name because he's not a huge actor. But I have seen him in things, especially this movie, which is why I memorialized him, I guess, whatever. But yeah, he's mostly known for Rob Zombie movies, I think, but whatever. I'm talking about a guy with a broom, whatever. I should be talking about Crazy Ralph here. Crazy Ralph, he's seen... Oh man, I gotta clear my throat. Oh shit. Okay. There we go. Anyway, Crazy Ralph seems like just a missed opportunity to me, because you have this character that you can have in all the movies to just sort of tie them all together, have something tying them all together, just this crazy lunatic wandering around Crystal Lake that isn't Jason or his mother or whatever, just to establish things and stuff. Yeah, but no, they didn't do that. They got rid of him in the second movie. They killed him off for some reason. I don't know why there doesn't seem to be any point to killing Crazy Ralph, a harmless character that just wanders around Crystal. Like, why does Jason kill him anyway? That's another thing. Like, why? What's the fucking point to Jason killing this guy who's just wandering around Crystal Lake? He's not a camp counselor. He's not doing, like, at that point, Jason was just killing people at the camp and anyone who's onto him, like that police officer in the second movie. But why Crazy Ralph? It didn't make any fucking sense. I don't know, it just seemed like a lame thing to do. I don't know. I would have liked to see more of Crazy Ralph, because that's another thing. In the third movie, they give you another crazy hermit that's living at Crystal Lake, or at least around Crystal Lake, who had that eye. If you're gonna do that, why did you fucking kill off Crazy Ralph? You could at least have a hermit that's around that's been in another movie. I don't know. Let me think about this. I don't think anybody... that's something I just realized. I don't think any character has returned, like any actor has returned to each Friday the 13th movie besides Crazy Ralph, Pamela Voorhees, Kane Hodder, and I think that's it. Let me think. Yeah, I think that's it, because Tommy Jarvis is played by 3 different guys, so yeah... They never really, they never... That's the other thing about Friday the 13th, is that I don't think they kept people around for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is because they can keep the budget super low every time. Because if they keep a director around, and writer around, and actors around, then they're probably going to start asking for more money. And that's not a good thing when you're really just making a horror movie that's... It works as a movie. You can put it on a screen, and it looks like a movie. It looks pretty... It looks better than... It's good enough for a movie screen. That's the tagline for the Friday the 13th series. It's good enough for a movie screen. And you don't have to pay that many people, so you could keep it at a couple $1,000,000 and make $20 million back just from controversy mainly. Because oh fuck, something's making noise out in the desert. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, we're gonna pause this. I'm sorry for the interruption. It was a dying cat. Don't worry, I put it out of its misery. And I had a pretty good meal afterwards. Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, the Friday the 13th series is kept low budget, just extremely low budget. So they don't have to fucking rehire anybody. I actually just remembered that Corey Feldman did reappear in part 5 in a flashback or a dream or whatever. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you don't keep a director or a writer around, then you could just fucking, and that's the horrible thing, is that the series could have been a lot more than what it was if they had some people around that had ideas and shit, but they didn't. Instead, they just sort of got new writer, got new director. And in part 6, there was an effort to try to take the series in a new direction, but then they just got rid of Tom McLaughlin after that and got John Carl Buechler, or whatever his name was. Well, part 7 was fine, but it was not a good direction to take the series in, as far as having a psychic girl. Yeah, not the ideal. Oh my god, look at that guy's, I don't know, that is so fucking 80s. A shirtless guy in cutoffs. Oh my gosh. Is he wearing, okay, it looked like he was wearing cowboy boots, but he's not. And he's got a bandana around his neck. And of course there's Kevin Bacon. That's not Kevin Bacon, that's another actress. I can't remember her fucking name. Whatever. And the fucking mustache, too. It's just, like, so 80s. It hurts. Ah, man. But anyway. Yeah, Kevin Bacon is in this movie. I guess a good actor. I'm not that familiar with him. I've seen him in things, but anytime I see, I don't know, he looks kind of like he's a dick. I don't know. He looks like he's not a nice guy. But I'm not a nice guy, so what do I know? And here's the, I don't know, the protagonist of this movie is this girl with the bowl cut. I know the character's name is Alice. Can't remember the actress's name, because she wasn't in a whole lot of other stuff besides this, but, was it Adrian or something? Adrian King, I think, or something. No, I don't know. I might be thinking of Adrienne Barbeau. I don't know. But whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Her character is, I guess it's kind of like Laurie Strode, just, in a different fucking environment, and it's implied that she has been involved with this dude with the mustache later on in just a bit, which is kind of and I don't think she's supposed to be a teenager. I don't know if any of these are supposed to be teens, or at least maybe some of them, but I don't think she is. I don't know. I never really was all that into Alice as a character. So it's not a big deal when she gets killed in part 2. Spoilers. She gets killed at the beginning of the movie because I guess they want to wrap something up. Oh yeah, Alice comes back in the second movie. That's another character that comes back. After part 2, they were just like, fuck, bring people back. There's no fucking point. Just new characters, whatever. But by like part 4 and then 5 and then 6, they were just like, okay, let's bring back Tommy Jarvis for some reason, but different actors every time. Because, it was a different actor in part 6 because the dude who played Tommy in part 5 was super religious. So, or got super religious between the movies, I don't know. And yeah, part 6 would have been a really weird movie with that guy as Tommy Jarvis. I don't know. you know, she's no Jamie Lee Curtis, but but Alice is okay. I mean, I don't fucking hate her or anything. It's just, she was just always there. I don't know. Never really worked for me. Not that different from Laurie Strode as far as just temperament or anything. The only edge she had was the fact that she did it with that guy with the fucking curly hair and the mustache and the glasses, and he thinks, yeah, I'm gonna wear a fucking fucking short shorts while chopping wood. I don't know. It's actually really, you know, I like these characters are like, I've never thought about the characters in this movie before. Besides Kevin Bacon and Alice, like everyone else is just there. You know, they have a ton of characters in this movie, and I've never noticed before how many characters are actually, like, how many camp counselors there actually were in this movie. Like, in my mind, there was always just like 3 or 4, but there's a good 6 or 7, I think. I wasn't counting before, but there's a lot more than I fucking remembered in this movie. That's really weird. Yeah, certain things don't have much of an impact as far as, like, certain things don't leave much of an impression on me when watching a Friday the 13th movie. Some of those things are the characters, obviously, because, you know, with the characters in a Friday the 13th movie, it's mostly just killing time, basically. I mean, Halloween was kind of like that too, where you have Laurie just sort of hanging out with Tommy Doyle, you know, babysitting, just doing some stuff, killing time. Friday the 13th series takes that to a whole new level, because the Friday the 13th series does not have a Dr. Loomis. It doesn't have, like, you know, the characters, like, will bring up the legend of Jason or whatever once, but they won't go over it all that much. They're just killing time, and eventually they're taken off guard by Jason and killed. So, yeah, that's something Friday the 13th series has problems with, and the characters are not super great. But, well, here's something where the movie fakes you out, because this girl, she's in the Jeep with the killer. You don't get to see the killer until until the fucking end of the movie. It's Pamela Voorhees. Something that bothered me about this movie is the fact that they just reveal who the killer is at the end of the movie. You know, they wanted it to be a total surprise, which, I mean, it was at the time, but honestly, chances are you went into this movie knowing ahead of time that Pamela Voorhees is the killer. So it's sort of, when you have a big twist, that's kind of the problem, is that you go into Empire Strikes Back knowing that certain twist. I'm not going to go into the twist, because you should know what it is, and if you don't, well, whatever. You go into certain movies with these big twists, and you're just like, yeah, well, I already know. Because pop culture ruins it for you. Like, Scream gives it away at the beginning of the fucking movie. And they didn't think, well, maybe we're ruining this movie for people. Well, oh well, I guess. Yeah, this character, you know, honestly, though, something that surprised me about this movie is that the first time I saw this movie, I thought she was the main character, because she's the one who's introduced first, and she gets killed by Mrs. Voorhees. I guess because she's going to help. Well, yeah, of course, because she's going to help reopen the camp. It was surprising because, I mean, I guess her character only exists to establish for the audience the backstory and the fact that the killer is still on the loose. You know, all that shit. But, you know, it doesn't do anything for the other characters, though. So, yeah. She gets killed. And honestly, again, I'm saying honestly a lot, whatever, but I thought she was going to be the main character, because she's honestly, I gotta stop saying honestly, but she's the nicest character in the movie. So, she's nicer than the actual main character, Alice. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I feel like she's the character that had the most work put into her, besides Pamela Voorhees. Though the actress herself, isn't super great, but she's nice. There's that at least. But then again, I'm gonna have to keep watching this movie to find out because maybe they went with Alice's actress because she was the most credible as far as fighting off the killer. Because who knows? Maybe they were like, yeah, that fucking oh shit, can't fucking remember. Whatever. It's Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. I don't know why I can't remember her name all of a sudden, but Jamie Lee Curtis's mom in Psycho. Yeah, they wanted to go with that with this movie. I think the Friday the 13th reboot did this, where they have, well, no, not really. Well, kinda, where Jason is in the woods, but he's not as well hidden. You can just see him. You can just see him out in the open, so maybe not. I don't know. Honestly, I just never paid attention to these fucking characters. Some of these guys are wearing... Is that... Oh, man. He's like... Fucking Kevin Bacon's wearing his Speedo. Yeah, it's always been really boring, disappointing, and just sort of... well... Is unmemorable a word? Whatever. It's easy to forget Friday the 13th characters. Some of them stand out. In part 2, there was that one nerdy guy who looked kind of like a much more Jewy version of Seth Green. Yeah, I remember him. There was also the guy in part 2 who was in the wheelchair. I remember him mostly just because he played a video game and also because his death was just so fucking weird. I don't know. It was pretty weird. Who else in part 2 was memorable? Well, Ginny is pretty memorable just because... Yeah, Ginny is a better character than Alice, honestly. Yeah, part 2 improves in certain places over this movie. Yeah, because this isn't... I don't know if you could say this is the best Friday the 13th movie. Like, you could say the first Halloween was the best Halloween movie. But there's a case to be made for this movie being the best Friday the 13th movie. Because, fucking Tom Savini. I should have mentioned that earlier. Tom Savini was involved with the effects. So, that's a legacy he has. And he kind of created the visual look of Jason that set the standard for the rest of the series. So, he has those two things. Guy with a machete. That would eventually become... The machete would... Oh, man. Fuck. Okay. The machete would eventually become the signature weapon of Jason. I don't think there's any, real meaning to it. I think it just eventually just became his signature weapon. I don't remember if there's, some point in the series where it was just Jason has the machete. He just has a machete, and that's become his signature weapon, because it's basically a knife, but a bigger version of a knife. Trying to he's overcompensating. Michael Myers is just I have this regular knife. It gets the job done. Whatever. Yeah, killing time like the snake. There's no fucking point to it. We don't really learn anything about the characters. It's just... I really hope that wasn't a real snake. I don't think it was. Tom Savini is a master of effects. I'm sure he faked a snake. Or maybe not. Yeah, this has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, the Friday the 13th series has that problem where they'll just show you scenes that have nothing to do with anything. It's just, something that happens. And that's all you can say. Who was memorable in part 3? Well, there was, the biker gang. They were pretty memorable just because they were bikers. And I guess this guy's memorable just because he's, like, fucking naked doing an offensive Native American stereotype. But, you know, it was the 80s. You know, political correctness wasn't quite there. Because some people are like, fuck political correctness. Well, you know, I'm not so into political correctness as far as comedy, but, you know, some people don't appreciate blackface, so, yeah, there's a certain level of, political correctness that is needed in culture, in society, or whatever. But whatever, I'm not gonna go into that, because I'm fucking talking about Friday the 13th. But whatever. Yeah, who else was memorable? Okay, there was Shelley, just because, you know, he was this fat nerd who had the hockey mask that Jason got, and he did a lot of fucking wacky stuff in that movie. Pretty memorable. Okay, I'm gonna get some water. Oh, man. There's something really off about this police officer. I don't know. Like, there's something weird about his helmet. Like, it's so... The visor is, like... I don't know. Stuff I'd never noticed before. It's a very dorky-looking visor. The dorky-looking helmet, I mean. Whatever. I'm talking about helmet on a fucking minor character in a Friday the 13th movie. It just goes to show that there's not a whole lot to talk about when the characters are just sort of hanging out. So, yeah. Shelley was memorable in part 3. Who else? I guess, well, I'm not gonna mention, like, character who fucking walks around on his hands. That guy was not memorable as a character, just... I mean, he had a yo-yo in your face, but that's it. Who else? Okay, that's pretty much it in part 3. Part 4 had, it had Crispin Glover, and, just because it was Crispin Glover, it was Crispin Glover, right? I don't know. Oh yeah, Crazy Ralph is set up as like, he's the obvious killer, but he's not, of course, but he's gotta be the killer because he's constantly like, you're all doomed and shit, but no, it's a fake out. And I guess that's why they kill him in the second movie, because it's just like, he's the fake out killer character. We don't need him anymore. We got Jason. It's not a mystery anymore. I got some water, sorry. What else? Yeah, I actually had this sort of interesting idea, like, a much more interesting story idea would be, well, it turns out at the end of the movie, this would actually have to involve de-aging Crazy Ralph, because he's pretty old. Too old for it to be possible, but the idea is that the Crazy Ralph hermit guy turns out it's actually Pamela Voorhees' son. And he comes back as a killer in the second movie, and you have that as an actual twist at the end of the movie, where you still show Alice getting attacked by the kid in that dream sequence or whatever, but it turns out that Crazy Ralph was the son. It probably doesn't work, but whatever. Would have been an interesting story thing, but then we probably wouldn't have had the Jason Voorhees we do have. The hockey mask, the fucking well, not really a jumpsuit. He wore like a work shirt with pants. You know, we wouldn't have that iconic, well, really just a hockey mask and a bald big guy wearing a hockey mask. We wouldn't have that if we had gone with an interesting story direction, but at least maybe an interesting, I don't know, it just depends on a person's point of view, but whatever. Would have been something. Would have been something more than, well, Pamela Voorhees is dead, and Jason might still be alive. I don't know. Whatever. What else did I want to say? That's a great thing to say during a commentary. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, there's a Friday the 13th game coming out. That's pretty cool. It's got a lot of the key players, at least. I mean, they showed the video of it. Yeah. Well, the thing about it that I don't like is the fact that it's a multiplayer game, an online multiplayer game, and I guess it's like Evolve or Left 4 Dead or something. I don't know. And you have to play it online, multiplayer, I think. Which, I don't know, I would have liked a single player mode, because I'm a single player guy, you know? The only time I play multiplayer is when it's very simple to grasp. Like fucking Mario Kart 8, you know? Very simple to grasp games, I go multiplayer. Otherwise, I don't fucking touch it. I can barely fucking play something like Pokemon, because it's just like, oh my gosh, the fucking math you have to do to get a decent team in that game. And I'm talking about Pokemon during a Friday the 13th commentary, but there's just not a whole lot to talk about during the downtime when they're killing time. I mean, we're fucking looking at an asshole just sort of, he was sort of balancing around. I think they just had in the script, you know, just kill time. And I guess that's the killer right there. I don't know if they actually had Betsy Palmer in any of these shots before she officially appears in the movie. Probably they didn't. But, you know, would have been interesting, I guess. An interesting bit of trivia. If it turned out, yeah, they probably didn't, because it just seems like a waste of time if you're not going to say anything. So, yeah, they obviously did not. And it probably would have cost too much, because she's the only, at the time, she was the only legitimate person in this movie. Like she had done a whole lot of stuff before this movie. Currently, she has passed away, but, you know, there's always a chance she'll come back. But currently, she's passed away, which is sad. But, I mean, that's what happens when people get old. But, you know, it's unfortunate when people pass away that were an important... when someone passes away who was an important character in film history, it's always upsetting. And there was supposed to be different points where Pamela Voorhees would reappear in a Friday the 13th movie. That never happened. Like Freddy vs. Jason, for example. They did not want to pay to have Betsy Palmer appear in that movie. So they just got some other random old person. Which, you know, it didn't really make sense, because how does someone age when they're dead? When they're when they're a ghost. But, you know, if you're gonna get another old lady, you might as well get the fucking actual old lady. And it's not a big scene either. Then again, I don't know. That old lady that they did get for Pamela Voorhees and Freddy vs. Jason, I got a really weird Power Rangers vibe from her, like a Power Rangers villain vibe, where she sounded a lot like Rita Repulsa or something. Like, I don't know. Not as good as Betsy Palmer, but it was just a little tiny scene, so whatever. Chances are, the Friday the 13th series, it's a well-known franchise, but there's also a lot of movies, and a lot of the movies sort of blend in together, where there's not a whole lot of major differences as far as what you can say happens in it. Just a basic summary, where every Friday the 13th movie, most of them at least, is there's a killer. It's like at a camp or in the woods or something, and the killer comes after the kids. Oh man, you got to see a little bit of a butt. Okay, whatever. Actually, there isn't a whole lot of nudity in this first Friday the 13th movie, or in any of the other early ones. There's some, but yeah, they're it's not like the series has a reputation that it didn't really have. Like people just, I guess, just thought of other slasher movies that had much more blatant, explicit nudity than the Friday the 13th series and the Halloween series. And they're just, well, Halloween 2 has some pretty fucking explicit nudity. Where that whole fucking, oh man, I mean, it was nudity, but that Halloween 2 hot tub scene was so fucking stupid. It didn't make any sense. Why are they doing a nude hot tub at a hospital late at night on Halloween? It just didn't fucking make any sense. Not doing their jobs. It was retarded. Anyway, like I was saying, the Friday the 13th series has, it's a popular series, but the thing is that they all blend together, basically. And, chances are, a lot of people who people know about this series, but they probably haven't seen any of the movies. It's not like, especially the first one, chances are they just, if you're gonna watch a Halloween, a movie with Jason in it, chances are it was Freddy versus Jason based on the box office numbers and the fact that it's one of the more recent ones, or you saw a random Friday the 13th sequel on cable, or something like that. Chances are your first Friday the 13th movie was not this one. It was one of the other sequels, because there's a lot of them. And this one doesn't have Jason in it, so maybe you were just like, I want to watch, I just want to get straight into a movie with Jason in it. And there's not really a storyline that you need to worry about. No, you don't have to worry about any of that bullshit. So you just pop in Friday the 13th, Part 7, and there's not, they have a fucking summary of the series up to that point, but there's not a whole lot to know. There's this killer, he's in some water, and a psychic girl brings her back. The psychic girl has not appeared in the series at all. So that's all you need to know. I don't know, there's something really disturbing about this sex scene. She didn't seem to be liking it that much. It was really creepy. Well, whatever. Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know, that's creepy. The moaning is just disturbing. Oh my god. Oh yeah, he gets killed off camera. Yeah, well, that's how they explain away the extra characters, because there's a lot. Just kill some of them off camera. I think they do that for another character. Just kill them. We don't need to see it happen. Just have it happen. Alice is not exactly a survivor girl character. She's smoking. She's drinking some alcohol. She's had a sexual relationship with some creepy guy with a mustache. There's no reason she should survive if we're going by fucking Scream rules, but whatever. You get some nudity, but Kevin Bacon is, well, some kind of nudity. It's a topless woman. Kevin Bacon, that's gotta be so awkward. But then again, it's gotta be, later on, it had to have been like, yeah, Kevin Bacon grabbed one of my breasts in a movie. Yeah, I doubt that actress is fucking bragging about that, but you never know. It's gotta be really weird for Kevin Bacon. Oh my god, for Kevin Bacon? Shit. Seeing this movie, yeah, I can understand, because anytime this movie's brought up, he's just like, oh, whatever. It's a dumb horror movie. Yeah, I can understand that. Especially, you want to back away from it when you have that sex scene and just like you're grabbing a woman's breasts. It's not a great image. It's not something that's going to be like a part of his legacy when he's gone, or like a great part of his legacy at least. Yeah, this movie has the strip monopoly. I don't know exactly how the rules go, but again, it's killing time. It's a lot of killing time. really, that's the main edge that the Halloween series has. It has Dr. Loomis, where you can at least have some. You can at least have like a character doing something, trying to find Michael, talking about Michael, reminding us that Michael exists. Yeah. Friday the 13th series does not have that luxury. It does not have a character that is his old. I mean, it kind of did for a while, Tommy Jarvis, but other than that, it does not have a character that is all about Jason, and Jason just shows up, kills some kids. Yeah. Yeah, obviously fake neck, but it still works. It still looks okay. Yeah, the neck is a little too long. Suddenly has like a giraffe neck. That's the only problem with it, is that the neck was a little too long. But yeah, it works. It looks good. I'm talking. If you can't see if you're just using this as background noise, I'm talking about the part where Kevin Bacon gets an arrow through his neck. It's a good death scene. I'm pouring some water right now from my water bottle. Yeah, water is scarce in Mexico. I don't know why. It's kind of bullshit, but whatever. You know, something I love about Friday the 13th 1 is the fact that it's such a cozy movie because of, like, the rain that happens in it. It's just, where you just want to snuggle up under a blanket, eat some macaroni and cheese, or something. You know, it's a cozy horror movie. And there's another scene that especially gets the coziness across, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's really fucking weird, because I'm only halfway into this movie. I remember there being, I mean, there's apparently a whole lot more movie going on, but I don't remember there being this much more movie past this point, because this is where the end game pretty much happens. But whatever. At least I think it's I don't know. Oh, we're almost there. I think the killer shows up last 20 minutes, last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes, so we're nearly there. Movie does have a woman in her underpants, she's in the bathroom, whatever. Oh, God. Again, killing time. I wouldn't be surprised if they just told the actress to, you know, just do an impression of a celebrity while looking in the mirror. Because we're just doing this movie because this distributor said, we'll give you a lot of money because that's a good title. That's the only reason why we're making this. So, you know, just do some stuff. Play Monopoly. That's a long board game. Just play Monopoly and we'll use the footage. We'll throw it in the movie. Like, they have that one diner scene. You know, let's just have one of the characters go to a diner and while looking, I guess he was looking for another character. I don't know. We're just killing time, okay? Tom Savini will make this movie great. He'll make this watchable. You guys just do what you gotta do. Because, yeah, a lot of what makes this movie great is Tom Savini's contribution. Sean Cunningham did his thing. Victor Miller did his thing. But not as big of a contribution as Tom Savini, you know? A lot of a Friday the 13th movie is the effects, which it's not the best thing to say about a movie, because effects are just a tool to help tell a story. But some movies get by with it, like the Friday the 13th series, and yeah, they have a good atmosphere, just like sitting around. And sometimes it's fun to see characters kill time, which, yeah, it's gotta suck, because honestly, this movie is killing time, and then eventually the characters get killed. That was a good, well, I think there was actually, I think it got cut down, but that axe kill, pretty good. you use a bit of your imagination when the axe goes in her head, but otherwise, I'm watching the uncut version, by the way. I don't know, apparently, because that's what it says on the fucking DVD, but I don't know what's cut and what isn't. I have no idea. I don't know if you can tell this, but I'm not, I like the Friday the 13th series. I like Jason. I'm like touching stuff on the desk near me. I shouldn't be doing that. I like this stuff. I'm really into it, but yeah, when you talk about the movies themselves, they do certain things well, and it's so fucking stupid. Okay, it's a movie, influential movie. It's got a lot of dudes shirtless, just walking around. It's not one of the best horror movies. If I made a top 10 list, which I'm not going to do with horror movies, Friday the 13th is not going to be on that top 10 list. Maybe a top 50. Probably not like as far as actual quality horror movies are concerned. But I like this movie. I like the movies. Yeah, whatever. I can understand people not liking these kind of movies, like legitimately, not just I'm too scared to watch that. No, well, just like where you just it's not super great quality, but again, the coziness of this movie, this fucking diner, it's cozy. You just want to roll up inside a blanket and watch this flick. Yeah, it's a warm, loving horror movie. Even if nothing all that interesting happens with the characters or anything. If there's not much story and it's just a character going to a diner. Yeah, it gives you a little bit of heart. Not a whole lot of story, not a whole lot of character, but some fucking heart, okay? And yeah, that's nice at least. A lot of horror movies that imitated Friday the 13th, they didn't even have heart to them. So you can at least say that. Friday the 13th got certain things right. It could have gotten certain things a lot more right than it did, but it got some things right enough where we're still talking about it to this day. And yeah, honestly, the best part of the movie, like the movie doesn't get like the best stuff in this movie. The best stuff in this movie doesn't even happen until the end of the movie, like the last 20 minutes. When you finally have Mrs. Voorhees, Betsy Palmer, when you show in a whole bunch more deaths, and then when you have that canoe scene, that's the stuff people talk about with this specific movie. They don't talk about the girl getting her, she's in a raincoat in the bathroom. They don't talk about any of this bullshit. They don't even talk about, the weird stuff, the top, the strip Monopoly. They don't talk about that. They talk about the ending, the final. It's the same thing with Sleepaway Camp. They talk about the fact that, the killer has something weird about her or him or whatever. And that's pretty much it. That's all people talk about. And I'm talking about general people. I'm sure maybe you geek out about little tiny details in this movie, but general audiences, people who watch this movie, they're going to talk about certain things. And yeah, this movie cribbed a lot of stuff, because even the ending, it was basically them saying, let's do an ending like Carrie, where something pops up. That's surprising. Oh man, Carrie's ending was really fucking creepy. Oh man, that was a really downer ending. Ugh. Really, really just upsetting ending, but that's the best kind of ending in a horror movie, because you don't want to really be uplifted. To me, you should come out of a horror movie, you're not, it's great to come out of a horror movie not totally bummed, because, maybe some character survived, and you're like, yeah, I like those characters, but their lives are ruined, and they're not happy at the end of the movie. I'm sure they're happy to be alive, but maybe they're not even happy to be alive. That's the kind of ending you want. You don't want, well, we killed the villain, and it turns out all the other characters are alive, or something. Or like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie where it's like, okay, well, we beat Freddy, and all his souls have been released, and the people all came back to life, or something. You still gotta have a whole lot of people dead at the end of the movie. A whole lot of sadness. Oh, yeah, just killing time. Like, do we really need... Oh, my God. Like, just think about it. Do we really need to have, like, the Christie guy get stuck in the rain and he gets picked up by the cops or something? Like, really? Did we... Yeah, just killing time. Just a whole bunch of redundant scenes. Redundant scene after redundant scene. But, I don't want this to sound like I hate this movie. It's just... it's flawed. The Friday the 13th series is highly flawed. But it's still a fun... It's a heck of a franchise, It's done well for itself, despite all the flaws that it has. And a lot of people were influenced by this film. Some of them were influenced in the wrong way, where they're just like, they saw some money. They saw a trend. And they wanted to make their own films in the vein. That's such a weird thing. Like, she just took off her fucking robe, and she has this bulky nightgown underneath. That's so weird. You'd think that they'd be like, yeah, full on nudity, but then it's like a total Protestant Puritan fucking thing. I don't know why I said Protestant. I should have been thinking Puritan, where it's just like, yeah, she's fucking Amish. Now they wouldn't have a girl in a sensible nightgown. Now they'd probably just show, like, just in like a new Friday the 13th movie, they just have the girl taking off that robe and just like full on plastic surgery breasts. They'd have that. And wait, there's a lot of shit I don't remember so well. Oh wait, okay. Yeah, now I remember. Mrs. Voorhees imitates her son for some reason, and she's, like, doing the help me thing. I don't know. That was weird. That's a weird aspect of, Mrs. Voorhees, how I guess she's hearing voices in her head, her son's voice. That looks kind of like the Seneca thing, or whatever that sign is. It looks kind of like, fucking Zodiac sign. But yeah, this is just Mrs. Voorhees messing with this girl in the nightgown. But yeah, like... But the thing about it is that they have her going out into the rain in this nightgown. Now they just... If they did that, they just have her in this tight t-shirt. And I'm talking about, like... Just we gotta show as much skin as possible. I think they did that with in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, where I think they just had rain coming down, so they can have the main character, because I think the main character is wearing a tight shirt, just so they can have the rain coming down and just show the character with a wet t-shirt, I just don't see the point in it, because the internet exists. I don't know. I just feel like I'm honestly super glad that the Halloween remake didn't have the, like, when you go to see it in the fucking theater, like, it wasn't the unrated version where they have that rape scene for no reason. Like, that's great. Where audiences don't have to feel super uncomfortable when they're going to watch a fucking Halloween movie. No, they'll feel uncomfortable in the comfort of their own home when they buy it on DVD and find this weird tacked-on rape scene for no reason. Oh, God, that was so terrible. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be rape scenes in movies when there's a reason for it for the story, but that rape scene was just to explain how Michael escapes. That's such a horrible way to use a rape scene in a movie. Oh my god. Jeez, that was just terrible. That was so stupid. Yeah, let's not have him. And the theatrical version was cooler because he fought guys to escape. In the fucking unrated version, he fights guys who were raping a girl, who came into his cell for some reason to rape this girl. I guess because it's better. Like, this guy is a huge killer. It just didn't make any sense. Like, I messed with the mic just now. Okay, I can understand. Okay, I get really upset about that remake. I'm sorry. You know, I can understand liking that movie, but I don't know. I don't know how you can defend certain creative decisions with it. Stuff that just didn't make sense. Whatever. I'm talking about... That's what happens in a Friday the 13th commentary. You wind up not talking about the movie because... This isn't interesting, honestly. It's just the character's like, stuff's getting weird, right? You know? Maybe we should... Oh, there's like... Is that... There's like a... Okay, there's like something written in chalk on the... On like the fireplace behind her. Like, it says Michael or something? Or Mike? Mike D. There's also a stuffed raccoon. Oh, man. There's also a stuffed raccoon on the fireplace. Little pointless details that I'll bring up when I don't have anything to talk about. Oh, man. I probably should be talking about something right now, but I guess I could be talking about her bowl cut. I don't know. Was that considered... Okay, was the bowl cut sort of thing considered a legitimate hairstyle, or was that purely just to say that, yeah, she's the survivor girl that you're gonna be rooting for? She's not. I mean, she still smokes and drinks and has sex with strange mustachioed men, but you know, she's the purest soul in the cast, I guess, because she has that bowl cut. Not a super great haircut. Yeah, and I guess they're just gonna go into every room, like, where is everyone? Again, killing time. It's gotta be a 90-minute movie. Honestly, they could have just cut... I'm watching the unrated version, which I assume they add some scenes or some cuts. Because honestly, with unrated, usually at least with old movies, they just add cut shots that were deemed offensive or whatever. There's usually not fucking cut scenes, like whole scenes cut from the movie or anything. No, it's just a few shots that the MPAA didn't like. Or in Halloween Remake's case, completely alternate versions of the movie where a scene is totally different, where there's an alternate universe version of Michael Myers that just sort of kills some rapists, I guess. Again, so stupid. So very, very... And it's so dumb, especially because it implies that Michael Myers only escaped on Halloween because of the convenience of two guys raping a patient. That's a horrible thing. A patient at this mental asylum. If they didn't do that, then he'd just still be chilling out in his cell. It's so stupid. Like, why? I really, really hope that was not the original version. That Rob Zombie... Like, I really hope Rob Zombie wasn't like, this was the original thing in my script, but they want me to do an alternate version. I hope the theatrical version of that escape was the same as in the script. I don't know. I hope it was just a case of, yeah, we need a much more hardcore version of this scene to put in the unrated version. Rob, can you shoot something? He was like, okay, whatever. Oh man, I gotta stop thinking. Obviously, I want to do a commentary for that movie, but I think that's a bad idea. That Halloween remake. I feel, because it's also a 2-hour-long movie, if I remember. Oh, man. And I'm not talking about Friday the 13th, talking about Halloween remake, but it's all just killing time, you know? It's so... It's actually... I forgot how much of a bummer the non-horror moments were. But, like, let's just listen to this dialogue right now. Yeah, these actors just seem bummed out. I'm just like, let's just... That police officer looks a bit like the trucker who gave that one girl a lift earlier. Small town, maybe they're related, you never know. You don't really get to see much of Crystal Lake, the town, in these movies. I mean, they showed... for all I know, based on what the movie shows, it's just like a row of fucking stores, maybe a diner, a diner, a few general stores, maybe a bank, a city hall, and a sheriff's office or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then there's the Camp Crystal Lake, as you could see on that sign right there. That's actually an iconic sign, you know. The Friday the 13th video game, I think, has that sign in it, so it just goes to show. And there's nothing threatening about it. It's just a simple, this is a camp called Crystal Lake. And this is also, this character, another character that's just killed off camera. And I guess, it implies that that Mr. Christie, he knew Pamela Voorhees. So you're sort of like, so the killer has to be someone we've seen in the movie already, but no, it's not. It's just a little disappointing. It feels like it was just their way to make it surprising no matter what. And I never liked that. Like, the Scream sequels did that, if I recall correctly. Where you... Not exactly like this, but the Scream 2 and 3, if I remember correctly, made the killer characters that were very minor that you never noticed in the movie, just to make it a huge surprise. Because in Scream 1, they at least did it right, where they had the characters in the open. They were important characters. So you could figure it out. But with Scream 2 and 3, it's so... They were just these background characters. I guess maybe because they were background characters, I guess you should have realized it, where... I don't know, it was so... Yeah, that was dumb. I don't know what they did in Scream 4. I didn't see Scream 4, so whatever. Maybe they did a better job revealing the killer. I'll never know. Well, I might know. I might see that movie someday. That's a horrible thing, though. Scream 4 was on Netflix for the longest time, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it one of these days. And then they take it off Netflix when I'm finally like, yeah, I want to watch it. Oh wait, it's not on Netflix anymore. And yeah, I know there are certain other ways to watch a movie, but I don't want to go out of my way. I just want to have it on Netflix, press the A button on my video game controller, just sit down and watch. Don't want to have to do anything else. Especially spend money to watch Scream 4. I mean, I'd technically be spending money watching Scream 4 on Netflix, but I mean, that's like a kind of, I guess. I mean, if you really think about it, are you getting the most out of your Netflix subscription? Really think about that. Really. There's a great variety of ponchos in this movie. There's the yellow one, there's the orange one, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe they had some other colors, but it's nice that they didn't go to a store and were like, okay, let's just buy all these ponchos in bulk. Just the yellow kind, let's go. No, they were like, let's have some different kinds of ponchos, Let's show some variety, People are getting a little too used to the yellow. Maybe they want to see some orange. And, that's nice. And I'm saying a lot. I hate that about the way I talk. I hate when I say like, that stuff. It's very Valley Girl kind of thing to say, but it's just the way I talk. I wish I could just say when I don't know what I want to say, but I can't help it. I just can't help it. It's actually really fucking shocking, though, because I watched this movie pretty recently, earlier this year, and I can't remember any of this bullshit. I remember the stuff that I always remember, the stuff that happens around the end, stuff that happens around the beginning, but the whole middle section is just a blur. It's so... I don't remember any of this bullshit. Just him dicking around the fucking generator room or something. I don't remember her waking up. I don't remember any of this. It just goes to show how unmemorable a lot of this movie is, especially compared to some of the other ones, or at least you can't beat Crispin Glover doing his little dance in part 4 as far as remembering shit that a random character did. It's like, why am I seeing all this shit? Why am I seeing Alice, like, is she making tea? Like, who fucking cares? Oh my gosh. And yeah, I don't hate this movie. It seems like I'm making fun of it. I kind of am, but I like this movie. I've never made a movie, at least up to now, so it's at least a bigger deal to me. It's bigger. It's a bigger deal than anything I've ever done, which goes to show. Yeah, you can make a all right movie and wind up launching a $1 million franchise. I'm pretty sure Friday the 13th has made more money through merchandising than the actual movies. I think maybe just through the action figures and shit. Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. But then again, a movie I guess if you count merchandising as DVD releases, Blu-ray releases, digital download, yeah, well, of course, because a movie's only going to make so much money when it's in theaters, so whatever. A movie's only going to make, just a small percentage of what it's going to make in its whole lifetime, which is forever. The Dark Knight made $1 billion, I think, at the box office. I'm sure it made a few more $1 billion just appearing on TV, being on video, just all that other bullshit, merchandising, all that other fucking bullshit. Dora the Explorer, I think in 2004, made $4 billion in merchandising alone. So, yeah, merchandising is a big deal with certain things, but not necessarily with this. Which is another reason for why Star Wars, especially the prequels, have stuff in it that have stuff in them where it's just, yeah, that's for toys. The new one has that. I'm looking forward to the new Star Wars Force Awakens. I shouldn't be talking about a movie because this is really going to date this commentary, but whatever. I'm still going to talk about it. Movie that hasn't come out yet. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll be disappointed. Maybe I won't. But yeah, I don't know, the only way... Oh, here's where things start to pick up. That's cool. But the only thing in the... they have that crossguard lightsaber in the new Star Wars movie. And I'm definitely sure that's only there just to have an interesting new Star Wars toy. And I saw that crossguard lightsaber for sale at a local CVS. So, yeah, it's already, it's already in the stores, so I think that's the only reason. I hope they actually have a legitimate reason for why a guy has a lightsaber with 2 other blades coming out from the sides. I hope they can fucking explain it, because they haven't shown anything in the trailers to suggest that there's any point to it, but whatever. I have faith. I really, I don't know, there's a fire extinguisher there. I wonder how much of this... I wonder if this was all set design, or if they just found a camp and the camp already had a bunch of stuff in it and they're just yeah, let's just film it. Because, there's set design here. There's a whole bunch of random garbage all over the place. Like, that piano has, like, fucking sheets on it or whatever. And there's a typewriter. There's all this fucking bullshit all over the place. So I wonder if that was already there in this room when they came here to shoot, or if maybe they just got a good set design, because this looks authentic, looks pretty good. Yeah, killing time. Like, she's just barricading herself. It's like in a fucking cartoon. It's like what you'd see in Scooby-Doo. Like, this is literally what Shaggy and Scooby-Doo always do when the monster comes around. They're like, let's get stuff. This is what they did in Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. They did this in a scene. It's so stupid. Just run out in the woods. Don't just barricade yourself in a room. It's not like you have a fucking cell phone or something. I don't know. This is really, this is really, it's kind of dumb. It is kind of dumb, And that, there's nothing wrong with that. Some movies are dumb, and they can still be enjoyable, still be fun. They just happen to be dumb, Nothing wrong with some good old dumb fun, like seeing a character barricade themselves in a building, like in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. Oh my gosh, so stupid. Yeah, she's got a fork and she's got a baseball bat. This is where things actually start to get interesting. Jeez, besides the occasional kill. That's the bummer thing about Friday the 13th movies. They're kind of dull in between kills, and then the ending gets really exciting. Yeah, that was very obviously a guy in a wig. I think that was Tom Savini, actually, but maybe not. But yeah, way too big to be her. Way too big of a figure. Coming crashing through the window. Yeah, and they're just like sort of, they're milking it for all it's worth. Just her reaction to this. Not her just getting the fuck out of there. Yeah, actually, this is something that was done in Halloween, where all of her friends, all of Laurie's friends pop out, and then eventually the killer is revealed. Yeah, they crib some stuff from Halloween. Also, like, the first-person POV for the killer. Actually, did Halloween 1 do the first-person POV all that much besides the opening scene? Not so sure. But it did the first-person POV for the fucking opening, I guess. Whatever. I don't know. How did Pamela get the thing, like, get that body through the fucking window? Well, then again, Alice's reaction was super long, so she had plenty of time, I guess. But yeah, here is where the movie actually gets started. Like, the Friday the 13th reboot just showed, like, as far as remaking this first movie, it just showed this opening, like, it just showed, like, the basic gist of this ending, of the ending of the first movie and the opening of it. So, yeah. The only super notable thing in this whole movie is when Betsy Palmer finally shows up, and she's like, honestly, I'd say Pamela Voorhees is the best Friday the 13th character. For, there's of course Betsy Palmer's performance, but also, well, yeah, she's the best Friday the 13th character, definitely. Because Jason's just a silent guy, And he might be your favorite Friday the 13th character because he's so badass and cool, he's got that mask, but he's not a great character or anything. As far as, it's sort of like, a lot of people confuse cool character with actual good character with, like, thought put into them, because like, people are like, the best Star Wars character is Boba Fett. Boba Fett's cool. Cool costume and stuff. He doesn't really do a whole lot of cool stuff, but he looks cool. But, there's no character to him. So it's always disheartening to see someone say a cool looking character is one of the best characters in something when, I don't know, that's sort of dumb. Okay, I gotta deal with something again. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It was another dying cat. I know, 2 in one night? Fucking weird. I put it out of its misery, just like the previous one. And luckily, I was starting to get pretty hungry, so really great. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying, Mrs. Voorhees, probably the best character in the whole series. Maybe second best would be Tommy Jarvis, I guess. But yeah, Mrs. Voorhees, well performed. Betsy Palmer doesn't fucking phone it in. Even though she didn't really want to do this movie, she doesn't phone it in. But anyway, yeah, best character. She has a backstory. She's well performed. She's got an interesting personality. She's got all that stuff. Friday the 13th characters don't have that stuff really going for them all that much. Like, I don't fucking remember any of the characters from the reboot. I remember some of the characters from Freddy vs. Jason, just because, like, one of the characters from Freddy vs. Jason was just Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. So, such a cookie cutter character. Just like, let's just get a Kevin Smith character in this Friday the 13th Nightmare on Elm Street crossover. Yeah. Mrs. Voorhees takes a lot of hits. Jeez, they don't go easy on her just because she's a nice looking middle-aged woman. Yeah. Oh yeah, well, yeah, here's another, well, it's kind of like in Halloween. It's just, we gotta see all the dead bodies, reacting to them. Yeah, that's kind of like what happened in Halloween, I think one of the, well, I'm not gonna even go into specifics, but yeah, like Halloween. Except this killer talks. Yeah, she runs around. She doesn't wear a mask. So they didn't rip that off. But they would eventually, yeah, they would eventually kind of rip off Halloween in that regard in the next movie, kind of, just as far as a mask. But over time, Jason became a bit more like Michael Myers as the series progressed, and then sort of became his own thing. Well, I mean, he's a killer that wears a mask. Well, whatever. Oh, luckily there's just a huge. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember her going into it. And I've seen this movie a lot. You think I'd remember this kind of stuff, but I don't. It's fucking weird. Yeah, it doesn't really leave much of an impression on you besides the kills and Betsy Palmer and just the. I'm going over that stuff, but I can't stress that enough. Friday the 13th movie has a certain thing going for it, and you sort of don't remember the rest of the stuff. Unfortunately, they lock up the not so good stuff. Like, she sounds like kind of like just like a cult leader. Like, it's the cult of the Jason or something. Like, she sounds like some kind of nun or something. It's weird, but it's a good. It's just like throwing random stuff. I don't know. Just ever slow and slapping. Just, you have a knife. Why? I guess she just. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking enjoy this. I'm gonna get the most out of it that I can. I don't know. It seems like like, part of me wonders if maybe they originally wrote this for a dude killer, because she just hit Betsy Palmer in the groin with a gun. And Betsy Palmer, like, I mean, I'm sure it still hurts, but that's something you do with a dude. I mean, she doesn't have fucking balls or something. Yeah, it's weird. I think, yeah, maybe they didn't even have a clear killer, like, thought up. Maybe they just wrote all this stuff, and then they were like, they had the scene where they basically left the scene where, like, the killer goes to their backstory. They left that blank and left some dialogue blank, but the rest of this is just the killer going after the the victim or the survivor girl or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be that shocked, because it's not like the creators of this original movie are that into it. Sean S. Cunningham, I saw an interview on, like, one of the DVDs, and it's just like, I could care less about this series or whatever, but he's still, like, actively involved in producing these movies and stuff, unlike someone like John Carpenter or whatever, mostly because it probably doesn't involve that much. It's not like he has any creative input or anything. He didn't fucking, I mean, he just directed the first one. He didn't write it or anything. He didn't, I don't know if you can really say that Sean S. Cunningham is that big of a part of Friday the 13th success. The characters, I mean, well, just Jason, or, like, all that stuff. A lot of what made the series iconic came later. So, I don't know. It's not quite the same as John Carpenter or Tobe Hooper or any of that stuff where they actually wrote the movies, or at least co-wrote, or George Romero, another co-writer. Yeah, actually, a lot of the big horror movies, they were written by the director, but they were co-written with another guy. Something to think about. This movie, I'm pretty sure, was just written by... Yeah, it was written by one guy, I believe. And it really shows. I got some water. Yeah, some more killing of time. Just sort of like... it's... I mean, there's a lot more happens in this ending sequence than Halloween. Like, they have a whole bunch of different stuff happening. I mean, Halloween, Laurie sees her friend's dead. Then there's not a fucking cat. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. See you in a bit. Okay, I'm back again. I really hope no more interruptions. I mean, we're only got 10 minutes left, so we should be good. I really hope I'm not super out of sync now. I can only hope. But yeah, you can... Unlike Halloween, you can say a lot of stuff happens at the end of this movie where they're going... Where Alice is hiding a whole bunch. She looks so happy. Oh, I found you. Alice is running around, hiding in a whole bunch of different places. I mean, with Laurie, she just finds her friend's dead. She leaves that house. And, goes to another house. Goes and does a bit of hiding. Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of stuff happens. Well, I guess I should be talking about the movie. Yeah, okay, well, again, I guess it's just... It's just have the character do something, because why not? Would she really be safe if she went out on a canoe in the middle of the lake? I don't know if that's what she's planning on doing right now, but it seems like she's heading out. Doesn't try to finish Pamela. Just gonna chill out near the fucking... Well, that's a pretty cool shot, so... we got something out of it. Again, it's just going from scene to scene. This chase, but this is the final moment. This is where shit gets fucking real. This changes everything. This is the big moment in the Friday the 13th series that really just. And this is actually a pretty well done scene. It starts to get not so great right here when they're just sort of wrestling each other, but that part where like the fucking where she like cuts the fucking oar, like all that is cool, and then she uses the oar, she tries to impale out. That looked cool, okay? Like that looked like something out of an actual action movie. But now it's just sort of silly. Where I mean, I guess maybe Pamela is really fit and athletic compared to Alice, so I guess that would explain why she's overpowering Alice. But there you go. And you could see hairy hands. Oh my god, yeah, that's a dude's hands. So, kind of. Well, I don't think they were. I don't think they were taking into account that anybody. I don't think they were even taking into account that people would be watching this movie today. That we'd have like we'd have videotapes and then DVDs, and we had a whole lot of different formats. But besides that, like they didn't think we'd have home media. Home media was still a new thing at the time, and it was super expensive, and it just wasn't. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of things. So yeah, a random horror movie. A random low budget horror movie. I don't think they were expecting anybody to go back and watch it and see Pamela Voorhees' hairy hands. So, yeah. And this is a really good fucking song. I like this song. You're just like, it gives you a false sense that the movie's actually over. We're like, and yeah, the movie is kind of pretty much over. There's no actual real threat left, but it just gives you a false sense that, yeah, we're not going to try to scare you anymore. That's all behind us now. You can see I think that's a little bird in the lake. Or it's the Loch Ness Monster. You never know. Loch Ness Monster might not be that big. Maybe the reason why it looks so small in that one photo that's said to be a hoax, maybe it's a really tiny monster. You never know. But anyway, the police finally show up. I guess they realized that there was a bunch of fucking dead people all over the place, so yeah, maybe we should check this out. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good-looking movie. Like, Sean S. Cunningham, like, he delivered a good movie, but it's just that his contributions aren't necessarily what led to the success of the series. I mean, he did a good job with this movie. It's just, it's not the same as with John Carpenter or Wes Craven. Funny enough, Wes Craven and Sean Carpenter actually worked together on Last House on the Left. I think Wes Craven Wes Craven wrote and directed it. But Sean S. Cunningham fucking produced it. But yeah, I probably should have talked about that iconic moment where Jason pops out. I think the kid who played Jason, he's pretty much just been profiting off his role as young Jason. He has a band named Young Jason, I believe. So he's just like, yeah, I'm coasting off this one thing I did when I was a little kid back in 1980. Actually, probably 1979 was when this movie was probably filmed, maybe. I don't know. I guess maybe Crystal Lake has a hospital, too. Oh, she's so disappointed. I mean, you saw them. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool how they have the same police officer that was in the movie earlier. So they were just like, let's get whatever guy is available. No, they had a consistent police officer that showed up twice in the movie. So I don't know if this was that. Of course, the ending with Jason popping out was. I actually mentioned that earlier. It was from Carrie, whatever. At least the basic thing. And you might be saying they didn't rip it off. It's just a coincidence. No, the creators of the movie admit that they ripped off certain things from other movies. It's okay. There's no need to get defensive. It's still a good movie. Still a good movie franchise. You know, it's just took some stuff liberally. I think Part 2 took a lot of stuff from Italian horror movies, but whatever. I think this was them hinting at a sequel. I think they probably wanted to make a franchise out of this from the beginning. Perhaps. I mean, there wasn't really a precedent for horror franchises past like the Universal ones. So Friday the 13th series it did some fucking shit that would catch on. So I don't know if they were expecting to bring back Jason or something else, but they did, and he became a much bigger thing. Much bigger. Like, Jason's become big to the point where the Friday the 13th name doesn't really mean much to people. I feel like maybe the Friday the 13th reboot probably would have made a hell of a lot more money if they just called it Jason. Just called it Jason, and you're like, you see Jason on the poster, and you're just like, okay, I know I know this thing. Yeah, it's sort of like Superman Action Comics. Like, if you went, like, would you really go see a movie called Action Movie that happened to star Superman? No, you're gonna go see Superman. So, or Detective Comics, where you go to see a movie called Detective Movie and it stars a guy named Batman. No, then again, Dark Knight didn't have Batman anywhere in the title, but it makes a lot. Oh my god, it would be so terrible if they made a Batman movie called Detective Movie. That would be so fucking stupid. And they've had Detective Comics and Action Comics for years and stuff. Like, well, since the very beginning, of course. Since, like, it's the oldest running DC Comics. Imagine if they made a movie called Detective Movie and it starred Batman. Oh my gosh. That'd be so fucking crazy. An action movie starring Superman. Oh my gosh, that'd be so fucking weird. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Friday the 13th, it's a fucking good movie. Sort of has some dull points, and it doesn't have really a whole lot of strong character, like just strong character. Yeah, it's easy to forget a lot of this stuff, but whatever. It's a fun movie, and it led to some other stuff. A lot of, we probably wouldn't have Nightmare on Elm Street if there wasn't a huge amount of interest in horror movies during the 80s. So we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have a lot of other horror movies probably that didn't have anything to do with Friday the 13th or slasher movies. But again, I'm talking about an alternate universe where, of course, we have this stuff. But whatever, it had a huge impact. I mean, I'm sure if I smashed a butterfly back in 1980, it might cause a huge different world or something. So, but Friday the 13th, it got a lot of people interested in horror. It was basically, what's the word? It cemented, or it took what Halloween did and made a formula out of it, to the point where Halloween, when it made its sequel, because I guess Universal saw the popularity of Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th, and a lot of other horror movies, like slasher movies like it, that were coming out in the wake of Halloween. I think Universal was like, okay, make Halloween 2, and make it a lot more like much more of an extreme version of the formula in Halloween, like Friday the 13th, where there's just explicit gore and stuff, where it's a very Friday the 13th like horror movie now with Halloween 2, I mean. And they carried on a lot of the Friday the 13th elements too, which is funny. As far as gore, And I guess, well, whatever. I'm not gonna go into that. Anyway, Friday the 13th, fun little horror movie. And if you watched this with me and didn't just use this as background noise or as a podcast, you could probably see that firsthand. See where things were starting to go in an interesting direction with horror. I hope you had a good time with this commentary, and I'm gonna go record a fucking vacuum cleaner commercial here in Mexico. I can't fucking wait. Oh man, I'm sure they have a great studio where I can do it too. I haven't really gone into payment negotiation or whatever yet, but I'm sure it's gonna be high. Yeah, pesos are a legitimate currency, right? Whatever. Gonna be shooting that. It's gonna be really fucking cool. You're gonna probably like the commercial. I mean, I don't have a major role, but I appear in it, so yeah. Some heads are gonna roll when you see this. The horrible thing is that I kind of had to pay to come here. Plane ride, the hotel, and honestly, I just talked to some guy on the phone, and he just said, "Come here to Mexico to film this fucking vacuum cleaner commercial," and I'm just sort of like, "Okay, give me the coordinates, and I'll go." Huh? Well, okay. I'm sure it's gonna be. I'm sure it's totally legit. Okay. Well, I'll see you later. Bye.